Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Colton Brown! How are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing very well. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening to the internets as well.
Good evening, everyone.
Or good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. There's no way to predict that, I suppose.
Good day. How about that?
Good day. Yeah, and like a tip of the hat, perhaps.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like some Gandalf shit right there, man.
I'm excited about this episode. Slightly,
I am.
Slightly excited. Yeah, pretty excited.
I'm pretty excited. I think we could pump our listeners up. You know what I mean?
Very pumped. Yes.
Yes. So we're talking two movies on this episode. We talked at the end of our last episode that we recorded. You know, we kind of were debating whether we were going to do a couple more episodes and do singular topic episodes. But it's just cleaner. It's easier for us to just do a big old double feature. So we're talking Ralph Breaks the Internet and Creed 2 on this episode.
Yes. And to kick it all off in traditional watch review fashion. What? Watch, review, repeat fashion.
That is the name of the podcast, yes.
I have a fun fact. Kind of a couple fun facts. So,
couple fun facts. Whoa, jeez.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my first fun fact was just kind of short. Ralph Breaks the Internet is Disney Animation Studios' 57th film. No, I fucked it up probably. Nope, 57th film. It is their 57th film, and I did not think that would, I didn't think that was sufficient fun fact for the episode. So I backed it up with some of your favorite things, box office numbers.
Oh, music to my ears. Give it to me. Give it to me. I need it. I need it.
Ralph Breaks the Internet is the 57th film, and it is the, fifth largest opening weekend for their studio. It's had the second bit at $56.2 million. Another slight little fun fact, it's had roughly the same opening weekend as Big Hero 6. Their first biggest opening weekend, or their biggest opening weekend movie was Zootopia. And Ralph Breaks the Internet is the second largest budget from the studio at $175 million. The first biggest budget movie that they had was Tangled, but you were telling me that Tangled had a troubled production, and they were trying to figure out how to animate hair and shit, and their budget for that one was $260 million. So they spent a lot of money on hair.
Yeah, well, I guess if you look at it from a certain point of view, you could probably point to the fact that they may have invested all of that money into that technology, but they've used that technology, subsequently. So I suppose if you kind of, divide it up amongst the Disney Animation Studios movies that have used that technology since they basically
more of an
made
investment
it for Tangled, then yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly, they've made more than their money's worth back, I would say, even with Tangled's budget being astronomical. But yeah, that's cool. I appreciate those numbers. I'm a sucker for box office numbers, so hit me on the sweet spot. You didn't hit me on the sweet spot you had the wherewithal to come to the table with multiple fun facts, and you don't have a fun fact for the other movie that we're talking about. You just gave me two Wreck-It Ralph facts.
I just gave it Wreck-It Ralph facts. I'm gonna wreck it.
All right. Well, I mean, I didn't really come prepared with a fun fact myself. I thought you'd be able to handle this sort of thing, but I will point out, if we're just going to throw out some numbers, Creed 2 is actually the 8th installment in the Rocky film franchise. So,
okay, all right. And
that's all I got. It's a little something, I suppose.
Do you have any box office numbers to compare the franchises?
Not off the top of my head, but we will talk box office when we get into the movies. So maybe I'll have some little fun factoids to wow our listeners with when we get to it. But we're not there yet. We've got some news to talk about, don't we?
Yes. Boy, do we have news this week.
Oh, my. Someone sounds excited. Well, you got to share with the listeners. What are you excited about?
I'm excited about Lion King, man.
Yes, the official teaser trailer.
Largest Disney trailer ever watched. Right? I think. Did you see that?
Did it cross Avengers?
It did.
Okay. I knew it was tracking very closely to it. I didn't know if it had actually surpassed it or not.
It did surpass it. I don't have numbers. I don't have the receipts, but the internet does. But yes, the Lion King teaser trailer was released. I think it released on Thanksgiving. Actually, I know it did.
It did. Yep, you were right.
And I was at Thanksgiving dinner when I watched it. I had been sipping on some Crown Apple the entire Thanksgiving dinner. And somebody texted it to me, and I watched it immediately, and I kind of got goosebumps when I watched it. I don't know if that was because I was slightly under the influence of alcoholic beverages, or if that is because it is truly amazing. I don't know. But I am super hyped for it. Please tell me you watched it.
I did watch it, yeah. Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, I think so I think we kind of talked a little bit when we were talking about maybe Aladdin, how like the musical cue like got you like immediately, whereas for me, I'm like, I don't really know too much like about the Aladdin like musical cues enough for it to be like kick in and be like, oh fuck, it's hitting me right in the nostalgia feels. I have attachment to the Lion King, and I would say based on those trailer views that a lot of people have lots of nostalgia for this, for the original animated film, which in a way this is also an animated film, but it's like a photorealistic animated. I think I've seen people that are taking issue with it, being called a live action film, which is, I guess, technically misleading. And Jungle Book at least had a live action character amongst it, whereas this is basically just fully photorealistic animals. I don't know if they actually shot like live action plates to like superimpose the animals over, if it's just straight up everything is digitally rendered. I think it's the latter, but either way, getting off track a little bit here. It does look good. I think it looks phenomenal in terms of the design and the music. I guess maybe that's where I lost the plot a little bit. The music is what really kicked, that's what got me really excited about is, just hearing that music kick in. It was just like, okay, yeah, I'm excited about this. I think, I don't know, man. I think Johnny V knows what he's doing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Johnny V knows exactly what he's doing. I'm going to sprinkle in a little factoid in here, only because I have some information in front of my eyes. I can't help but drop it in. The Lion King was the biggest success for Disney Animation Studios. $422.8 million domestically when it came out. And I don't know if that's adjusted for inflation or not. But that's what the figure says in front of me about domestically. So that's probably why those trailers that trailer got watched so many times. I mean, it's going to be so good. Johnny V's itching a spot, man. And it feels good. Like it.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is going to make so much money. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts.
You think, okay, Avengers 4 is coming out. That might be the highest grossing movie, but Disney's got this. They've got Toy Story. It's just like, holy shit. Like, yeah, the rich just keep getting richer. It's crazy. But I am looking forward to it. I will gladly contribute my money towards this film. I'm very excited about it.
Oh, imagine it in IMAX, so loud. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so sad, dude.
It's going to be good, man.
You know how hard you're going to cry? You're going to cry fucking nasty. You're going to cry hard. Mufasa. Poor Mufasa.
Yeah. James Earl Jones coming back too, man. That's pretty awesome. Great voice cast. Donald Glover, Beyonce, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Billy Eichner, Seth Rogen, John Oliver. Keegan-Michael Key, I think, was also listed in the trailer. Eric Andre, I think, is voicing someone in this. I know we talked about the voice cast a while back, but, when you kind of see it, there was some dialogue in this trailer. You have that with the music, with the visuals. It's just like,
oh, and I bet Scar's going to look fucking pissed. He's going to be mean. Oh, and then you get the song. The song where Scar's singing, and you got the Hitler hyenas walking and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yep. Oh, it's going to be so good. God damn, I'm so excited. When's it come out? Do we have a date?
We do, yeah. It'll be out July 19th, 2019. Got about half a year to wait on this bad boy.
So excited.
Yeah.
So, another movie that we got a final trailer for one that I'm not really too excited about. It's Aquaman. Aquaman got a final trailer.
We're going from one extreme to the other. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Look, we actually did not talk about the 6-minute trailer that came out like maybe a couple months ago. I think we actually both inadvertently saw it in theaters. I think this is a better trailer than the first trailer we got.
Yeah, but it's dismissed by the 5 minutes we've already seen. Like you...
Yeah.
For example, if I saw this before I saw the 5 minutes, I'd say, you know what, maybe Aquaman's not going to be so bad. Maybe it's going to be okay. Because this is not a terrible trailer. But I've already scratched the surface.
I think this trailer does well to disguise the elements that I'm most worried about with this film. I just think that there's such a weird dichotomy between like the visuals of this film and the tone that's already been set for this universe. I've talked about this before. I don't need to beat a dead horse again, but I just...
Yeah, you're going to beat it anyway.
Like, I'm excited to see James Wan putting some crazy ass like visuals. Like, this looks like easily the most colorful DC film, yet.
And
I think that's a good thing. Yeah, well, I mean, but it's a good thing that they're not, it's not smoke monsters and fire everywhere. Like, good. I don't see any of that in this trailer, and that's awesome. But it's still kind of got that weird, tainted nature of like, I just don't really buy Momoa. I don't buy this Aquaman in this colorful world anymore. Like, he seems someone that's more fit to the dour Snyderverse, whereas this is like, if you're going to go this direction, like, why keep the things that didn't work before? That's kind of where I am a little iffy about it. And, the 6-minute trailer in particular, the dialogue was real bad. The whole tone of it and the jokes and stuff it was all just real bad. And I was just like, oh no, this feels Venom-esque in some ways, in terms of just like obvious attempts at humor that really just land with a thud. But I think there might be enough spectacle here to hopefully keep it afloat, if you know what I'm saying. And actually, timely recording, there's some social media impressions that have come out from the press, not from the fanboys that love everything that they see. And they seem overall fairly positive, a few negative ones splashed in there, but seems like people are saying that, it's more tonally in line with what you'd expect out of a Marvel film, and that feels refreshing for DC. So that's encouraging, I said, I think I'm still going to have my issues with the casting in general, but that's not James Wan's fault. It's not Jason Momoa's fault that he got cast. I mean, technically it is in a way because he presumably auditioned for the role and was awarded the role, but it's the fault of the casting director. It's the fault of Zack Snyder for thinking that's the guy for the job. Like, that's who I want. I don't know. I guess I'll walk in with somewhat of an open mind. I mean, it's got to be better than Justice League. It's got to be better than BVS. It's got to be better than Suicide Squad. Like, it just has to be.
It's definitely going to be better than Suicide Squad. It has to be.
If I can get something in the ballpark of Wonder Woman, I'd be thrilled. I'm not expecting that, but just like a middling, like, okay, DC's not completely fucking lost. Like, I think I can work with that. That's my expectation walking in. I felt like this trailer did a little bit to alleviate my concerns. I think if nothing else, there'll be, hopefully it makes for an enjoyable watch, not just like a cringy, like, oh God, the couple, that you got those feelings, a few times when you watch that 6-minute extended trailer. At least I did anyway. I think you probably did as well.
Yeah. No, it was pretty terrible. I could just pee on it. Anyways.
Yeah. It's an Aquaman joke. You guys will get it in about a month or so. If you haven't seen the 6-minute trailer, don't do that to yourselves. It's 6 minutes too long. It's the reason we didn't talk about it until we were kind of forced to out of necessity. But you've got another trailer you wanted to mention, right?
Yeah, I do. I just caught this one here prior to recording, and this is Once Upon a Deadpool official trailer.
Yes, Once Upon a Deadpool. So I don't. Are you familiar with kind of what the conceit of this is?
PG-13.
I guess the trailer does a decent enough job of kind of telling you, but it's not. I don't know. It obscures, I think, what is actually going to be most of the final product,
which is a PG-13 Deadpool.
It's a PG-13 Deadpool 2.
PG-13 Deadpool 2. Okay.
This is So it's so. I think what is it? Fox moved. I think Battle Angel was supposed to be on like the Christmas date, and so they moved Battle Angel off there, Alita Battle Angel, and they basically put this in its place. Once Upon a Deadpool. So it's PG-13 edit of the R-rated Deadpool 2, but it has extra footage added into it, and the trailer kind of shows a lot of this. Basically, it now has a frame story with a kidnapped Fred Savage, Deadpool kidnapping Fred Savage and basically narrating the story to him, Princess Bride style.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know. I don't know. It made me really laugh. I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought the trailer was actually quite funny, especially the Marvel Fox joke at the end was particularly brilliant. Good amount of self-awareness from Fox. I guess they're okay with doing stuff like that now that they're soon to be owned by Disney. I feel like Fox of a few years back would have balked at that sort of joke personally, but I don't know. Maybe the leadership there's they got a good sense of humor about these sorts of things, but. I don't know that this is going to work as like a 2-hour product. That's my concern with this.
If your parents won't let you see Deadpool 2 because it's rated R, totally works.
I don't know that it will totally work though, because you're going to have to severely neuter Deadpool 2 to make it watchable in a PG-13 state, I feel. But they could lean into just like it just being totally chopped to bits and pieces, and like I think there's a way to Deadpoolize it in a way that is kind of fun.
Yeah,
and so I'm curious from that standpoint, but it does it feels a little bit like a cash grab, but Fox I think has basically leaned into that aspect of it as well. That there was a statement that Fox put out with Fred Savage apparently quoting, "While my participation in this film was anything but voluntary, I am happy to learn that fuck cancer will be the beneficiary of this shameless cash grab." So it's going to be in theaters for 12 days. I think starting the 12th of December, basically it's going to run up until Christmas Day itself, more or less. And I think every ticket that's sold, $1 of it will go to the charity Fuck Cancer, which has rebranded themselves for this
PG-13 experience.
For this PG-13 experience, they've rebranded themselves Fudge Cancer. So
nice.
They also go by F Cancer. So I don't know. I don't know that I'll see this, and I mean, with the AMC pass, maybe I will see this in the theaters. But
I don't know. I got 12 days to see it.
I'm less sold on the product than I am on the trailer. I thought the trailer was a lot of fun, but we'll see how it does. I don't expect it to do gangbusters, but I guess if there are those kiddos that couldn't make it in the theater before, or they couldn't pay for a PG-13 movie before and sneak in last time it came out, then maybe they won't have to do that this time.
Yeah. Did you come with any news, man?
I do have some news. I have yet another trailer. We can go ahead and talk about another trailer. It's the last trailer for the week, and it is for the Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Lego Movie 2.
Yeah. So I loved the first Lego Movie, so I'm pretty excited about this one. I felt like this trailer wasn't all that different from the first one we got, but it did reveal the addition, I think, of one character I don't know that we saw in the first one, in Rex Danger Vest. He's kind of the cool guy that's traveling around with him at this time. So I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Which is what a parody of the main guy. I can't think of his name now.
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, it's a Chris Pratt pool. I liked that. I thought that was funny.
It is. It's pretty good. It's actually being voiced by Chris Pratt as well, which I think adds to the humor of it. It's obviously very meta, but
it's cool.
Yeah, he's a space traveling archaeologist, cowboy, raptor trainer, and gambler. So yeah, it's pretty good. Like you said, I like the first one a lot. I'm excited for this one. I think it's See, the thing with the first one is with the way that it ended. I don't know how, that one went straight for the feels in terms of how it blended, kind of the animated aspect of it with the live action aspect. I wonder if this one's going to try to duplicate that, or if it's going to just it's just that is what it is. Kind of let it be.
Right.
I'm very curious to see how they handle it. It's think it's a different director, but I think it's written. Yeah, it's written by Lord and Miller. So there's still a lot of creative continuity there, which I think will certainly help. This one doesn't feel like less of a cash grab. Obviously, the first one was popular, made a lot of money, but it's good that they returned a good amount of the creative contributions. I think that will make for a good experience. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Looks pretty cool. I just realized something. On a side
realize?
Note.
Yes.
I realized I talked about. I think I was going to talk about Lego Movie 2.
You were, but then I improvised.
That's how fucking professional we are. Playing it by the cuff and improv. Very nice. Brown.
I feel like it's less impressive now that we've pointed it out, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? That's it. Behind the scenes shit, man.
Yeah, so we got the good stuff out of the way first. Well, I don't want to say that, but we got the trailers are exciting to talk about. It's something very tangible to hold on to.
Especially the fucking Lion King.
Especially the Lion King. Yeah, we started on top. Now we're here. I have a couple more pieces of news, but they're more just like news type articles. I'll start with the one that really fucking threw me for a loop, and that is the full title for the upcoming Birds of Prey film.
What's it going to be, man?
Have you seen anything on this yet?
I have no idea. Tell me about it.
Oh, this is going to be good. All right, so Margot Robbie, who will be portraying Harley Quinn in this movie, has come out on Instagram, and she took a picture of the title page of the script, and it's going to be called Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
What the fuck? What?
Now,
oh my goodness.
See, and the thing I thought when I looked at this is, so Birds of Prey is like typed out on there, and then like the second part of that title is like handwritten underneath. And I was like, oh, it's Margot Robbie just having some fun. She's going full method. She's in character as Harley, like marking up the script. Haha, whatever. And so there's actually a little byline on the Hollywood Reporter article, and it says, "quote unquote," yes, this is official. Like everyone is actually just equally flabbergasted that this is a thing. And they're like, no, that is actually going to be the title. That wasn't just, her having a little laugh. And I'm just like, okay.
What the fuck are they thinking?
I have actually two opinions on this.
Okay.
One I feel more strongly about, which is, holy shit, that is a mouthful of a title, and it's real bad. It's real bad. No one's going to call it that, of course, so it's kind of a moot point, but you're going to have to put that on like the spine. You're going to have to put that on like the posters, and I'm like, that's just a fucking mess. That is not a good idea whatsoever. You could make maybe Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. Like, it's bad. It's that's like Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice levels of bad. This is worse than that. This is just like, oh, it's just cringe. It has moved into just full cringe, I would say, for me. Now, my second opinion, again, this is the one I feel less strongly about. This actually does alleviate one of my major concerns about this movie.
What's that?
Weirdly enough. So the Birds of Prey are not... The Birds of Prey traditionally have absolutely nothing to do with Harley Quinn. The Birds of Prey are Batgirl, Huntress, and Black Canary. The only thing that this title does for me is it tells me that it's the Birds of Prey that are emancipating Harley Quinn, presumably from Joker. And so that at least makes me feel comfortable knowing that they didn't write this film in a way where the Harley Quinn character is actually part of the Birds of Prey, because that would be like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, the Birds of Prey are heroic characters. Harley Quinn, at best, is an anti-hero. Like Suicide Squad, she's kind of, I guess, somewhat in that role. I was thinking more comic book Suicide Squad. Sorry to remind anyone of the movie.
I prefer not to think about it.
So that's my one takeaway, is like, okay, they are moving the story potentially, and presumably at least, in a direction where, it's the Birds of Prey teaming up with her instead of her just being like a member, which I always found weird that they're like, because they were going to do like a Harley Quinn and Catwoman and Poison Ivy movie, and maybe they're still doing that. They're making every movie in existence. They announced like 50 projects, and then a few of them actually go into production, but That's my, I don't know. Like I said, those are my two opinions. I assume you're probably less favorable, certainly, at least in regard to my second opinion. So
yeah, no, I don't know anything about Birds of Prey. I would just probably name the movie Birds of Prey. Like, I feel like,
I mean, you're not going to walk up to the box office counter and say, "Let me get 2 tickets for Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn."
No.
If I was selling tickets, I would say, "Fuck you! You're getting a ticket to Birds of Prey, and you're going to like it, motherfucker."
That's it. It just feels like, hey, a lot of people don't know who the Birds of Prey are, but we all know who Harley Quinn is. So we're gonna sprinkle Harley Quinn in there somewhere, and then we're gonna Suicide Squad it up and make it ridiculous. I don't know. It
feels very damaged to me.
Yeah,
like it's just very try hard, very just like. Oh,
all I could see now is his grill. That's all I could see. Damaged grill. I just.
Oh no! I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you, really, really bad.
Oh Christ! I just loathe this shit. I don't want to. I prefer not.
I don't want it.
I don't
Get
want
it away from me. Take it away.
Yeah, I just
away with you, beggar. Away.
I just don't want it, man. I just don't. And
you're getting it.
That's a fucking terrible
title. We're probably
title.
going to cover it. So.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Anyways, let's move on to some other news, please.
Let's close out the news with something that you're probably a little bit more interested in. I'd say almost certainly more interested in. It's the Game of Thrones prequel, which we've talked about a couple times before. Mm-hmm. Got a little casting news. Naomi Watts headlining it. I think was the last time we talked about it. So it's tentatively titled The Long Night.
Okay, that's
pretty cool.
That's a proper title.
I'm sure they'll work in Game of Thrones in there, like The Long Night, the fabulous emancipation of Game of Thrones that takes place 5,000 years before Game of Thrones with all the Starks and the Lannisters and all those cool guys and dragons and shit.
Period.
So, yeah.
In title.
But there's been a little details on it, courtesy of Mr. George R.R. Martin himself. Busy not writing, but busy giving interviews.
Books, right?
Well, he is writing. He's just writing the wrong books.
That's it.
In a way. He likes to write his little side stories, his histories of Westeros and all that good stuff. He's having a blast with that. He's having a blast making money at Comic-Cons and all that good stuff. So, you can't blame the guy. He's living his life. He's just not writing in it.
That's it.
He's not writing a When's a Winner in it. He's certainly not writing a Dream of Spring in it. But he says it takes place about 5,000 years before the events of the television show. There's no King's Landing. There's no Iron Throne. There's no Targaryens. It predates Valyria, which is the basically the city that gave rise to dragons in the House Targaryen. So it says it's a different and older world, and hopefully that will be quote unquote part of the fun of the series. So basically,
the Long Night's referenced in the books, isn't it?
I think so. You don't ask me details on that because I don't really know what to tell you on that. But there is, it chronicles the world's descent from the Age of Heroes into its darkest hour, from the horrifying secrets of Westeros' history to the true origin of the White Walkers, the mysteries of the East to the Starks of legend. It's not the story we think we know. I think that was the blurb that's included. I think that was probably part of the original announcement because as I got like halfway through reading that, I'm like, holy shit, I've read this before on the podcast, haven't I? But our listeners have now been refreshed because they probably forgot about it too.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited about this. This could fall into cash grab territory. But I don't blame HBO for keeping Game of Thrones going. And it to me, at least, this sounds like they're not just making the same show over again. I think that's a good move. To do something a little bit different. We'll see how different, I guess, when it actually comes out. But yeah, that's the news for this week, my friend. Would you like to move into our double feature for the week?
Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna begin with a tasty little appetizer in Ralph Breaks the Internet, which was directed by Rich Moore and Phil Johnston, written by Phil Johnston and Pamela Ribbon. Might be Ribbon. There's only one B, so I was a little iffy on it.
You're probably right, and I'm always wrong. So that's
she could just keep it simple. I don't know. But either way, it stars the voice talents of John C. Reilly, Sarah Silverman, Gal Gadot, Jane Lynch, Jack McBrayer, Alan Tudyk, Alfred Molina, Ed O'Neill, and Taraji P. Henson. So 6 years after the events of the first movie, Wreck-It Ralph, after becoming friends, video game characters Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope von Schweetz discover a Wi-Fi router in their arcade that leads them into a new adventure. So you briefly touched on this already, but I'm going to tack on a little bit more factoids in terms of the box office receipts for Ralph Breaks the Internet. So you mentioned how its opening weekend numbers fared very similar to a couple other movies that Disney Animation Studios had put out. I would posit that those opening weekend numbers are somewhat misleading because this movie opened on a Wednesday. It opened on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so it actually had a 5-day kind of stretch. So I think usually the opening weekend numbers are just the Friday, Saturday, Sunday numbers. So this had an extra 2 days. So it actually made $84.5 million through its 5-day opening domestically, and sits at $125.9 million worldwide through its first weekend. Domestically, very good numbers. It's actually the second highest 5-day Thanksgiving opening ever.
Wow.
Period. And it sits behind Frozen, which of course is another Disney Animation Studios entry, and it's actually just a nose above Moana, which had it opened on Thanksgiving as well. So it had kind of that similar playtime. They had that 5-day opening, and this one just edged it out just by, I think, maybe $1 million or $2 million, something like that. Very, very close numbers. The worldwide numbers, I think, are also tracking very well. I think it opened in a handful of markets, and it seems like it's pacing ahead of its predecessor. So
it's pretty good.
It seems that the world at large, maybe the internet at large, likes Ralph Breaks the Internet. So let me ask you, what'd you feel about this movie? How'd you like Ralph Breaks the Internet?
I think I like the first one more, but this one was good. I enjoyed it.
Did you rewatch the first one?
I did not.
Recently? Okay.
I did not.
I'm just curious.
Did you?
I did, actually, for both the movies we're talking about. I rewatched their immediate predecessors.
Good for you. All right, so how do you feel? How do you feel compared to the first one?
I enjoyed this one more than the first one.
Did you
personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think the first one is Disney Animation Studios' best work. I think it's very good. It stands on its own. I think, if nothing else, the first one probably has more of a timeless feel, and I think this one could feel dated with the gluttony of references that it has. The first one's kind of like the love letter to like the forgotten era of arcades, more or less.
Right.
And this one feels very in the now, and that works now, but it could not work in a few years' time, potentially. Or
right.
it could fall into the same trappings, not really trappings, could fall into the same category of, no, it feels like a love letter to that sort of thing. But I felt that, for me, the first one kind of, I don't want to say it fell off, because I think it's quite good in its own right. Mm-hmm. But the first one, for me, spends like 75% of its runtime in the Sugar Rush world, basically.
Right.
And I felt like it was infinitely more interesting to me in like the first 30 minutes, when it was kind of bouncing around the various different settings, and then it kind of settled into this one thing and had this one kind of big story push. And I thought it was a very well told story, a lot of heart to it. But I felt like this one kind of expanded the scope of things a lot, and I think that's maybe why I enjoyed this one more personally.
I gotcha.
I still think it retained, the heart and everything, but I think that by kind of expanding it outward, that's kind of why I ended up enjoying it more. So that's my short version. Yeah, it's my short take on it. So
yeah, it did hit me in the feels. This one hit me in the feels pretty good. I did have the sniffles while I watched this movie, especially the latter portions. I walked away. Usually, things leave you feeling good when you walk out of the movie theater. A lot of times, anyways. Especially these kinds of movies. I kind of left sad. I just left sad, man.
I think it's kind of got a melancholic ending to it. It's not.
Yeah,
I think the first one's definitely much more of a straight happy ending.
Yeah,
especially compared to this one.
Yeah, this one's. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing. The content of the ending isn't bad or anything like that. I just left feeling, and it's a good ending for the characters. But it's just kind of, melancholy is a good way to put it. Kind of a good way to put it. And I think this one, if I remember right, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This one's pretty deep. I think this one deals with a lot of deeper, like, emotional things than the first one did. Is that appropriate?
I think that they both have a ton of heart to them and a lot of depth to them. I think they deal with different thematic content, and so I think that potentially some could strike a chord more than the others. So and also it's just one of those things. I watched the first one within a couple days of seeing this one, so
yeah,
I have that immediacy there where I can kind of directly compare them like that. But I think it's very present in both of them. So I think probably what you're talking about here is definitely present in the first one. I don't think you would enjoy the first one more than this one if it didn't have that level of depth to it.
That's true. Right. And I definitely enjoyed the first one a whole lot. I love the first movie. I like this one. This one's really good. It's a really good movie. I like it. Yeah, that's what I got. I really liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was. I really had a good time with this one. I enjoyed that there was that depth to it. That heart to it, and I enjoyed it. Like I concede that it may feel dated eventually, but I thought that the actual take on like the internet and kind of seeing that through the viewpoints of Ralph and Vanellope was really, really interesting. Like I thought it was a very colorful, vibrant take on the internet, and I guess kind of in the way that like maybe Inside Out explored like emotions and stuff like this. It was kind of like doing that, but like for like facets of the internet, whether it's like social media. There's a good chunk of this movie that really takes a pretty solid dive into social media and kind of the implications of that in a way that you like, you don't really expect something like that in a movie like this. But
and it's interesting because you take Ralph who Ralph is like a steadfast man. He knows what he knows. He's a simple man.
He's just there to wreck it, man.
That's it. He's just a simple man, just there to wreck it. He knows he has a real good friend, and that's what he knows. He's just an easygoing, nice guy, And then he's exposed to the fucking internet, and I don't know. It's fascinating. It's a really fascinating take on it. I think it's really interesting. I think that I didn't really enjoy the first the first act of the movie, I guess. It was okay, but for me, I don't know. I couldn't get into the beginning of it. I didn't get into the beginning of it at all.
It definitely opens up once they
definitely
venture into the internet, the
right?
world at large. Yeah.
But aside from that first little bit there that's slow and just kind of difficult to get into, once it starts, I really got into it, and it deals with a lot of fascinating thematic content, as some would say.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, it's good. It's really well shot. In terms of like the cinematography, how it's composed, the color in it. This is. We'll talk about it soon at the end of this episode. I got some new toys that I'm going to talk about, but this was a very good cinematic experience in terms of just like watching it, in terms of just the way that it's projected. I saw it in just like a regular theater, and I was just like, damn, this movie looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all
good
Disney
stuff.
freaking movies, man. Disney Animated
That's
Studios
true.
put some really pretty shit together.
Yeah, and it is also, it's kind of the Incredibles 1 to Incredibles 2 thing. Not to the extent, but you could still see a jump in animation quality.
Yeah.
Even though it's only been a few years, whereas obviously the Incredibles, it was quite a longer gap. You can still see the advancements in technology. It's actually quite astonishing. still holds up when you watch it, but then you see something new and you're like, holy fuck, like, damn, this technology is getting absolutely insane.
Yeah, like
all those Tangled dollars were worth it. Let's put it that way.
Couldn't imagine watching like the original Toy Story and then watching like a modern thing. I imagine the difference is crazy. But yeah, we can get into recommendations though if you want. Yeah,
let's. I'll go ahead and say that I recommend seeing it in theaters. I mean, I was just kind of getting at it. I mean, it's a beautiful movie. Sound design's quite good, and it's. I think it's a movie that all audiences can enjoy. It's got. There's actually quite a few adult kind of jokes on there. Not like, like inappropriate for kids, but more just, I guess, innuendo type things that will fly over the kiddos' heads, and the adults will kind of just be like, "Damn, they got away with that." Okay. But no, I think it's a very age appropriate film for all audiences. It's ton of fun, ton of heart, ton of depth, and yeah, it's kind of got everything I think you look for. Certainly in like a kids movie like this, but it's not one that plays exclusively to people 10 years and under. It's definitely something I think that will resonate with everyone. So I think this is worth a look in theaters. How do you feel about it?
I agree with you 100%. It's a very well-made Disney animated film. And like all Disney animated films, I think, like you say, there's something there for everyone. I think it doesn't matter your age, the jokes, the humor, the thematic content that they deal with, and just like the nature of the entire premise of the movie, I think can talk to pretty much everybody. So, yeah, totally go see it in theaters, guys. It's pretty good.
Totally. All right. Well, let's get into full spoilers now. Mr. Macho Man Randy Savage is not going to be joining us this episode, but in the spirit of having some Game of Thrones news, we were able to secure another special guest to bring us into the spoiler segment. So if we could bring in Mr. Robert Baratheon to the stage. Full spoilers for Ralph Breaks the Internet. Yeah, shits. Yeah, he always closes it with "you shits." Even it's not even appropriate for a movie like this. But that Bobby B, man, Bobby B can't control himself.
That's it.
Let me ask you this: did you stay for the 2 credits sequences?
Oh man,
do you know anything about them?
No.
Actually, you have almost certainly seen the first, the mid-credit sequence. So you're gonna have to go back in time a little bit. But do you recall the first teaser trailer where it was Ralph feeding the
yes, I was going to talk about that
and the rabbit?
Yeah,
and how that sequence was totally absent from the actual feature itself.
And I was real disappointed when I watched the movie and it never came up.
So that was actually the mid-credit scene, and there's a little more to it in the beginning where it's the little girl in the car seat with talking to her mom, and I don't remember which character actually says it, but someone's just like, "Don't you hate it when like you watch a movie and there's a scene in the trailer that wasn't in the actual movie itself?" And then it basically just has that full sequence just kind of lifted wholesale from the teaser.
Nice.
So it was a good joke. I guess I read online that the directors, obviously they'd animated that scene, felt like it was a really strong sequence that they had kind of planned on having in the movie from the get-go, and then they kind of
couldn't implement it. Yeah,
kind of whipped the movie into shape. They're just like, this doesn't really fit anywhere, and then they kind of came up with that as a gag. And then the after credit sequence was actually a pseudo teaser for Frozen 2. It's sort of. So it starts as an out exclusive look at Frozen 2, and then it turns into a Rick-roll, courtesy of Wreck-It Ralph, taking on the Rick Astley role. So
it's pretty good. I wonder.
We here at Watch Review Repeat are you probably, if you look hard enough, I'm sure you can find that. But we here at Watch Review Repeat recently did a Rick-roll earlier this year for April Fools, so we're okay with using years old internet jokes. So. It got my seal of approval. This is in the trailer a little bit. We didn't mention in non-spoilers, but I thought the fucking Disney princess scenes were gold. I thought they were absolute gold. Personally,
Yeah,
did you like them?
Yeah, outstanding. I enjoyed the song stuff too. I thought that was
song
really
stuff
good.
was great. Yeah, I mean that was a legit fucking song. I think it was the Beauty and the Beast songwriter is the one that did like the Vanellope song.
Is that right?
Yeah, Slaughter Race. I think it was. Yeah,
Fucking Slaughter Race. I laughed my ass off. It was so good, so touching.
Yeah, that was really great. I enjoyed just the interaction between the princesses. I think they got a lot of the original voice actors back, or at least as many as they could. But a lot of it was good. I laughed particularly at the when Merida spoke. She's the brave character.
Yeah, nobody could understand
with
her.
The Scottish accent. They're like, "What the fuck did you just say?" we don't know. They don't know what she says. She's from the other studio. I was like, "Fuck, it
was pretty good."
There were some damn good jokes in this one. I don't have any others particularly that come to mind. Which, to be fair, I saw this far more recently than you did. I'm talking about this movie that hours after seeing it myself, so it's got the recency there. But that was good. I enjoyed all that. I enjoyed all their interactions. That was really, really fun. And there's a lot of obviously other visual references too. It's a good amount. There's more Star Wars than I expected. I think they had the fucking Imperial March came in at some point.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
The baby Groot, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely good.
The guy that asks like God, I've been in this position too many times where someone's asking like this super overly nerdy comic book question to people that are just like it's usually to like actors. I'm like, I barely read a comic book. I don't know the answers to these questions. Like, ask the writers. But the actual bait and switch there with Baby Groot was pretty excellent. That was pretty excellent. I enjoyed that. This it kind of opens up the world to having all these other characters, and there's still some good jokes in there with some of the characters that popped up in the first one. Sonic has a little bit more dialogue here, and the Zangief discussion is pretty good. The Street Fighter,
with the waxing,
yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed the visual references too, like the when they were in the slaughter race, and those people they hop out of their car or whatever, they're walking around, they're kind of glitching around.
Yes, the animation was just intentionally just absolute garbage. I was laughing my ass off at this. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was gold. Just like the actual the jerkiness was incredible. Good. Like it's like little attention to detail like that in ways you kind of don't really expect that sort of thing. But that was really, really great. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the new characters too.
Yeah, Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot, and as Shank, she was good. I enjoyed that character there.
I enjoyed the pop-up guy too. He's pretty funny.
Pop-up guy was good. Yeah. Apparently it was Bill Hader, or Hodder, as you like to call him sometimes.
the fucking God! I laughed so hard. The fucking Jabba the Hutt character.
Yes.
Jabba the Hutt character with the fucking little face off the side of him. Oh man, I lost my shit. I thought that was hilarious. I laugh just thinking about his little fucking ugly little face over to the side, his brother. Oh, and the little guy that helps the pop-up guy. The one that just like disappears and appears in there.
Oh yeah, he was awesome. He like stretched his arm and shit. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I laughed so hard.
Just the character design that was awesome. I really enjoyed that. I felt like, unfortunately, by the nature of kind of how they handled the story, they kind of the characters from the first one, aside from obviously Ralph and Vanellope, kind of got the short end of the stick. Like we didn't really get a whole lot of Fix-It Felix and Calhoun. I felt like the story could have. I don't know that it needed more of them. Like they kind of just weren't really obviously the focus here. But I was kind of it's kind of missing. That dynamic from the first one. They did have there was a pretty good parenting joke at the end, which I enjoyed that quite a bit. But
about in the race,
like the key to being amazing parents is it was good. Like when they were there, they definitely maximized their screen time. So yeah, and I guess the last thing I had, I'm kind of just getting things off my chest, and I'll let you bounce off it. But I thought that this one benefited from not having like an overt villain to it. like the first one had whatever his face, I forget the character's name, but it had a villain. It had a proper villain to it. This one didn't really have, the real villain was
fucking
Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph's insecurities.
I enjoyed that instead of having, I think there's moments in this movie where you're kind of just like, all right, one of these new characters is going to be bad. Like, it almost feels like maybe it could lean into an Incredibles 2 type direction where maybe Shank's a bad guy or something like that, or bad gal, a literal bad gal. Oh my. But it didn't do that. I thought that was the right choice because I didn't think it needed that.
Yeah,
I think it was stronger emotionally to go in the direction that it did with having Ralph kind of, be a big old dum-dum and kind of realize the error of his ways, as kind of, very similar to what happened in the first one. So,
yeah. Deals with Ralph fucking growing as a character.
Yeah, and the actual animation of the giant Ralph, that was really just, it was pretty cool, actually. There's a couple, like, close-up shots, especially with, like, Vanellope on, like, the little platform, and you just see, like, the Ralph's just kind of like the human centipede kind of Ralph type thing, and I'm just like, this is a little wonky and weird, but, I don't know. I enjoyed that. Yeah,
I enjoyed the idea of the way that they kind of how they I don't know how they turned Ralph those thematic elements of insecurity and stuff like that, and how they turned that into a literal villain or a literal bad guy was kind of interesting. Yeah, so it was definitely good. Sad that Ralph loses his friend. Doesn't lose his friend.
Doesn't lose his friend.
They just grow. They just grow in separate directions. And
sort of. I mean, they're still biffles. They're keeping in touch. I mean, we live a few states apart ourselves, but we keep in touch.
It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's. Yeah, it's them kind of coming to terms with kind of how to handle their friendship in a different way, and in a way that they gotta pursue their dreams. So,
this is true.
So, I thought that was really, really, really strong. I mean, I think that there's certainly plenty of potential for Wreck-It Ralph 3 to come around, and they have to team up properly once again.
Sure,
especially with the amount of money this movie's making, wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's not the happiest of endings. It's bittersweet. It's a bittersweet ending.
That's it. So. But yeah, good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I laughed my ass off the entire time. I went and saw it with my friend Brittany, and we had a few drinks at the movie theater. We spent entirely too much money on drinks at the movie theater, and we were laughing it up, man. We had a real good time watching this movie. And I don't know, real good experience. Good experience at the movie theater, good experience watching the movie, good experience enjoying the movie. I really liked it.
Well, I'm glad that you had a good experience.
Yeah. I had a good experience with the next movie we're going to talk about too.
Oh, picked up my transition. I love it. Love it. Let's talk about Creed 2, directed by Stephen Caple Jr., written by Jewel Taylor and Sylvester Stallone. It stars Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, Wood Harris, Felicia Rashad, and Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph.
All right, I'll let you have fun over there.
Dolph Lundgren. Sorry about it. Can't help myself sometimes.
If he dies, he dies. Boxer Adonis Creed faces new adversary in the ring in Victor Drago, the son of Ivan Drago, the man that killed Adonis's father, Apollo Creed, all the way back in Rocky IV, Rocky IV. Box office. This movie's doing very well for itself. Ralph was not eating up all of the box office business over that Thanksgiving break. Which, as a side note, hope everyone had a lovely Thanksgiving.
Very nice little segue there. Good.
Yeah. I mean, I probably could have mentioned it one of the other 10 times we talked about Thanksgiving, but better late than never. This actually came in at $55.8 million for the 5-day opening the domestic period there. And that qualifies it as the highest 5-day Thanksgiving opening for a live-action film ever.
Nice.
It's obviously very traditionally an animated like footprint. Disney puts their shit out on Thanksgiving like week. That's apparently their jam, or someone does. But people wanted to see some boxing. They wanted to see some Rocky Balboa. They wanted to see some Adonis Creed, and they got it. I think it did not open overseas yet because I couldn't find any figures for it. So just the domestic numbers to report on for this episode. Would you like to give your report on how you felt about this movie?
Yeah, this movie's really fucking good, and Victor Drogo is a fucking massive man.
He is a mountain of a man.
I
would not want to fight. I wouldn't want to fight. I wouldn't fight fucking Sylvester Stallone personally.
No.
But Jesus, that guy is
the way that this is I think this was an incredibly well shot movie. I really, really like the way they shot this movie, and the sound design is amazing. And
I will agree with that.
Yeah. The way that they captured the force of Victor Drogo's punches and his ferocity and just his brutalness is ridiculous. Victor Drogo is I don't know. He's a very scary fucking villain of a person. And yeah, he, I don't know. It's probably one of my favorite parts is just watching that guy beat the shit out of people, which is pretty bad. I don't think I should enjoy that.
Well, I enjoyed that certainly within the boxing sequences here, they gave us a little bit of the fight night, slow-mo action with people's faces just like, you just see their face just ripples from the punch throughout their skin. I enjoyed that aspect of it, and you got plenty of that, especially courtesy of Victor Drago, who usually makes quick work of his opponents.
Just punches people really fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
And it was very well acted. It deals with some good thematic content like our first movie. And I mean, it's different from our first movie, I think, a little bit, but it still deals with some stuff. Hits you in the feels. At least it hit me in the feels a little bit. I think I had some sniffles in this movie as well. Maybe I just might be just fucking emotional. I think that's my problem. I think I just might be fucking really emotional because I went and saw this movie with Kevin and Henry. Henry's our resident superhero guest, and I'm not so sure that any of the other guys I was sitting next to was crying, but I was fucking crying. So I kind of had to pull it off as I had an itch on my face, like I'd go itch my cheek a little bit, and then I'd go rub my beard a little bit, and like I wasn't crying, but I was fucking crying.
Yeah, just something in your eye and
somebody's cutting some onions.
Rubbing at it long enough that just my eyes just watering. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. What's going on?
Yeah. So I don't know. I just really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really fucking good. We went to a game night the night before, and we left that game night at like 11 o'clock or midnight, and we threw in Creed in the living room. And I say I didn't rewatch it because we both know what I did whenever I put that movie in. I fell asleep real quick. So I didn't.
It was your lullaby.
Yeah, I didn't rewatch it. But I remember really enjoying the first movie, and I think didn't you say that this would have been your the first Creed would have been your movie of the year if Mad Max didn't come out?
Yep. And I rewatched it, as I said, and I 100%, 110% stand by that statement. There's still a part of my brain that almost wants to put it over Mad Max, honestly.
Right.
Because I think that for me, the first one's got basically everything in it. Performances, the emotionality, the technicality, the physicality, like it's all on display in it. I rewatched the first one. I don't know that I'd seen it since theaters. I think I've only seen it a handful of times. But it hit that when I saw the first one in theaters, I was full crying towards the end. When I rewatched it this time, I teared up multiple times. Like, I think it actually got me more emotional than I did the first time watching it, and that to me is a sign. I mean, it's not like some movies can be, I guess, emotionally manipulative, but this one to me didn't feel that way. Like, everything was just very earnest, and it was just, it made me care about the characters, made me care about the things that happened in it.
Right.
And so that's why it elicited that response. So I absolutely adore the first one. So that was, the bar was set very high walking into Creed 2. And, we talked about the trailers and stuff like that. I think the Rocky franchise, I would say, has a general hokiness to it in some ways. Again, it's very earnest, but, it's kind of got this larger than life kind of feel to it, especially towards the later entries into the franchise. Like Rocky 4 in particular, it's, it's a little cornball, especially with like the Drago storyline. And I was worried that this one was going to slip into that mode. I don't think it is. And I was very pleasantly surprised that it did not. So yeah, I agree. I was actually really impressed with this. I thought it was very good. Mm-hmm. Definitely, like I said, better than I expected, honestly. I was like, okay, they're doing the Drago storyline. I don't know, this could be pretty hokey. But they sold it. They added way more depth to those characters than I expected them to. Yeah, they made them sympathetic people, man. And that's, I think, why it worked so well. And actually, I think that the villain presence in Creed 2 is better than it was in Creed 1. Creed 1 is just kind of this, this other boxer. Creed 2 did a lot to actually tie those two people together in those characters. Yeah. But it didn't do it at the cost of, I think, the other characters. I think like maybe Rocky's storyline's better in the first one. I definitely feel that's the case, but there's a lot of really, really great stuff that is given to Adonis here, that's given to Bianca, to their, relationship together. And yeah, I mean, performance-wise, everyone fucking absolutely crushes it here. I think they do a really good job of, not to interrupt you, but... Well, you did, but okay. Yeah, Rocky's... you say Rocky had much more of a presence in the first one, or he had a lot more. There's necessarily a presence. It's just I think that he had more material that he was. Yeah, I think the story was given in the first one definitely hit a lot harder. Yeah, this one I think there's a line. I don't know if this is considered spoilers or not, but there's a line where they say, Rocky's got his life and we have ours. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really. I don't know. I think it's really telling of the story they're trying to tell. Yeah, I agree. They it's reframed. It's not right. It's not dismissive just because it's framing it differently. They're telling a different story. Yeah. So the first one is Creed, Rocky, and a little bit of Bianca, and really those are probably the only characters that it's concerned with. Right. For the most part, this one I think deals with more characters, and some get like Rocky gets a little bit less to do. It's not saying that like Rocky still has a pretty good-sized role in this, pretty integral story role in it. I just think that, like I said, I think the first one, is particularly in like Rocky's case, is a lot heavier hitting. But, counterpoint to that is the villain, the Drago stuff here is definitely easily better than, the villain boxer in the first one. So, it's somewhat of a trade-off. It's going for a different thing. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just different kind of by design. Right. So, before I was rudely interrupted, I was just going to say that Michael B. Jordan is fucking amazing. Everyone here is great. Sly, who I will again mention, was fucking robbed for getting an Oscar the first time around for Creed. Unfortunately, due to I think the role in this one, I think he would deserve that recognition more for the first movie than in the second movie. Sure, but I would throw around Michael B. Jordan's name for Best Actor, personally. Even if this movie doesn't get, like, ton of Oscar recognition in terms of like Best Picture. I don't know that maybe it's not quite there yet. I don't know. Still have to weigh out, I guess, the competition. But dude always turns in great work, and when you let him chew on something like this movie, where the character goes through a lot, and it lets him experience this range of emotions, dude can act. No doubt about it.
Oh no, for sure.
Pair him with some great actors, and they chew scenery together. Him and Tessa Thompson are phenomenal together, man. Just really, really spectacular work from both. And
yeah,
Tessa Thompson, just put her in everything. I don't put Michael B. Jordan in everything. Put them all in everything. What's the big deal?
They're all very authentic people, man. Very authentic shit going on here.
Put Dolph in everything. He's going to be in Aquaman. Did you see Dolph in the Aquaman trailer?
Was he in there?
Does that? Yeah, he's an Atlantean.
I tell you, I mean, I don't want to get segued too hard here from a real great movie to a real shit movie, but I think my favorite part of that new trailer was fucking Green Goblin teaching homeboy how to swim. Mm-hmm. I had no idea. I don't remember him being in it, and as soon as I saw him in that new trailer, I laughed my ass off. Anyways,
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Fucking William Dafoe. What the fuck are you doing? I'm an Atlantean. Anyways.
But yeah, you mentioned you really enjoyed the way this movie was shot.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree with a caveat. My caveat is, especially coming off the first one, directed by the brilliant Ryan Coogler.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I think, in terms of its boxing sequences, missed a beat. The first one has this. Coogler just has a way with the camera. It's just this insane fluidity to everything that he does. Like pretty much all of the boxing matches in the first one are one takes. I don't know if they're disguised one takes or if they're proper one takes. Probably the former, if I had to guess, because they're ridiculously shot. This one has a lot more cuts to it.
It does.
It's a different approach to it. But I felt like that approach in the first one was so fucking immersive that I felt like going away from that was a disappointment for me. It's not to say that it's not well shot. I just think that in terms of these two different competing styles, I greatly prefer one over the other, and that's just kind of where
everybody. I mean, you always prefer one shots. You know what I mean? The one shots are just kind of they're. I don't know. This was shot really. I mean, not that I don't want to. I mean, there. I tell you the coolest part. There was a training sequence in this one that I really enjoyed, and that was a one shot, but it was just. I mean, it was real simple. It wasn't anything crazy. When he's just punching that other guy's hands. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, that was just kind of my... I really don't... I mean, I think it's a very well-made movie. Very, very good movie. Very impacting movie.
I enjoy when you can take... I enjoy when you can translate just... When there's an impact on the camera and you can feel it when you're watching the movie. You know what I'm saying? And that happens, I think that happens every punch in this one. It translates well. You can, I don't know, you can feel the impact on am I making sense or am I sounding stupid?
I mean, I watched this in Dolby Digital. I was feeling some reverberations from the sound design, so.
Yeah, man. And I think it's emphasized, I think it's super emphasized because they have a massive fucking guy fighting, even when he punches him and he blocks it, and he at one point he reels back because he gets punched so hard, and he blocked the punch. I enjoyed that sort of cinematography and stuff. It was cool. It was cool. It was a cool movie. I really like it. Do you want to get into recommendations? Yeah.
Do you want to start this time?
I recommend you see this in the loudest, biggest way possible, I think. That's what I think.
I don't know that this got an IMAX release.
I don't know. I saw a new form factor though on the AMC screen. Have you ever heard of the form factor, the Big D? Have you heard of the Big D?
I feel like this is a trap.
Have you heard of
Is this a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question. AMC has a form factor called the Big D. The Big D. I actually need to Google it because I was curious about it.
This is
D.
AMC that has a big D?
The AMC's got a big D, yes.
Oh, well, they do have a lot of money to swing around.
If you Google it.
I'm not going to Google Big D, and I don't advise anyone do it either.
I said the Big D Theater. It says the Big D.
That just sounds like an adult film house to me, but...
The Big D at AMC theaters. Experience digital difference that is Big D.
I don't want to experience the Big D personally. I don't know that I don't think I can do that.
You click on the actual AMC theaters big. You can find out all about the Big D at AMCtheaters.com. // the Big D,
and you know that they know. You know that they know.
The heading on the website is "Enjoy Premium Big D Viewing."
Oh my goodness.
All their chairs in the theaters say Big D on them. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so good. Where do they have one in Florida? They have one in Spring Hill. Oh, I'm going to Spring Hill's Big D. Anyways, that was a hard deviation. I'm sorry. Experience a Big D premium live screen format on a dimensional site.
I think we can stop talking about the Big D for a little while here. I don't know if I said it already. Go see this in theaters. I don't know about the Big D things, but I can definitely say the Dolby Cinema, which I think is how I saw it, is the way to go. Or IMAX if it is playing, or Big D. You know, if you're desperate enough, or you know,
if you have access to a Big D, I suggest you probably take it.
That's what she said. Is that
appropriate? Yeah.
Fuck me. All right, Bobby B, you got to break this up.
Full spoilers for Creed 2.
Oh fuck.
You shits.
All right. I think we're good. I think we're free of the Big D's. I live in Philadelphia now, and rewatching the first one was a very interesting experience because there's actually there's a few times where they go to actual Philadelphia type places. There's an emphasis on like the geography, and there's a couple times like watching the first one I was like, shit, I've been there. Shit, it was kind of cool to have that. And then this one goes to LA for most of the movie, and I'm like, oh boo, I wanted to see more of places that I either have been or haven't been. Which, to be fair, you've been in Philadelphia. You saw the Rocky statue.
I saw the Rocky
over by the art
statue
museum
in the View. Yep.
So that's pretty cool. That was in the movie.
Did we have you ate a Philly where they go get Phillies?
I have not been up there. I actually had to look up where that was, and that's well into North Philly. It's actually, I go to school in North Philly, and North Philly has a bit of a reputation. But I think Max's is the place they went to,
right?
And gets pretty good marks. So I might have to make my way up there. It's actually right off the sub. It's off the tube, as you call it.
Oh, okay, all right, right
off the tube. Yeah, just a few stations north of where my school is. So. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I said it's fun to kind of see that geography and movies because most movies take place in cities that I have never lived in. You know?
But I feel like the Rocky movies in particular, or the Creed movies, or however you want to kind of spin that franchise.
Yeah, they've been very Philadelphia centric.
Yeah, which is pretty neat.
Which is pretty cool. So, yeah, that is pretty cool. And talking in more story spoiler detail. I think we talked about how the Dragos had a lot of depth added to their characters. I didn't think it was going to work all the way until the end. I felt like there's the whole aspect of the characters of them like trying to get back into the good graces with their countrymen in Russia. And I felt like that was a little iffy. It was kind of like, it's a little cornball, a little bit for me.
Until you realize that the actual boxer gives no shits about that stuff.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. And I didn't know if it was going to be like see, I think that the way they resolved all of it was it was definitely unexpected for me, and I thought it was really, really well done. I kind of expected something a little bit, more along the lines of him just, saying fuck you to Papa Drago, and, either not really taking a dive, but instead of like getting back up, with a hard count, then he'd just say fuck it, I'm going to stick it to everyone, and this isn't my way. But I thought that having, Ivan actually throw the towel, I thought that was a really, really awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Really, really great moment that totally sold, I think, everything that led up to that moment. And then, when them kind of, I think they're running together at the end was just like a really great, it humanized, especially Ivan, who's kind of just this larger than life, figure in Rocky IV. It made him a really properly realized character, and I thought that was really, really awesome to kind of see them take that angle. Especially, like I said, the movie, I think that could have kind of just rode on the coattails of what had come before and just do the exact same thing over again. And, these movies are predictable. I don't think that's necessarily fault of them. I think most Rocky movies are pretty predictable. They've kind of got a flavor, a formula to them. And I think the Creed movies in particular have done a good job of just kind of remixing them, It's kind of the Force Awakens approach of this. We take what worked before and kind of, do a greatest hits type version of it. And I think that that's fine. I think that especially for, most of the Rocky movies were made several decades ago, and this is a good way to kind of bring them into the modern world. I mean, Rocky Balboa, I think, was mid 2000s, but this is kind of the next generation of Rocky.
I think the thing I enjoyed most about this movie is every central character has significant growth in it. Rocky grows at the end of the movie, he goes and sees his son. Adonis is at one point and he gets broken and he has to build himself back up. He sees a tremendous amount of growth. Bianca grows, and even the villains, I guess they're villains, but even they grow.
It's a little baby that grows in her.
A little baby
as well.
Yeah, little baby grows, little Bobby. And I think that's fucking essential to a really good movie. You don't have any stale characters. You don't have any. It's I don't know. It's authentic. It's an authentic experience, which is really good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, authentic's a good way of describing it. Very, very, very human, very believable characters. There's no artificial drama. It's all on the table, and it all makes sense, and it all works for it. And it's as enjoyable to watch the journey of these characters in their arcs as it is to see them kind of realized by the end. And
yeah,
I'd say this is definitely there's I guess kind of bittersweet things that happen in this movie too, but he wins at the end. That's a happy thing, but he's got a deaf or partially deaf child to raise, and that's kind of something that presents a hardship. And then her, and Bianca has the progressive hearing loss too, so it's kind of like that's kind of something in the back of the mind to think about too. So there's hardships coming for this character, and it's a character that's still. He's kind of his own man. He's established that he's legit. He's not just only famous because of daddy. And there's a lot of elements to it that are really strong. And yeah, you mentioned Rocky and his son kind of reconciling. That was a really great moment.
I think it's interesting how all of them grow too. Like I really enjoyed the fucking Rocky arc. I really enjoyed it a whole lot. And he's so wise. He's a fucking wise old man. That bit there where where she gives birth, and then what if she is deaf? And she doesn't feel bad about herself, or she's not down on herself yet, and neither should you, or whatever. That was really fucking good. It hit me right in the fucking feels, real hard. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I feel like anytime Rocky goes out to the headstones too, it's just like a fuck, man. Like,
yeah, that's really
Rocky. He's just kind of like a shell of himself in some ways. Obviously, like
I was talking about that.
He's had a little bit of rejuvenation with Adonis, but yeah, especially in the first one, pulls out the
chair,
fold-out chair and starts talking to Adrian.
Reads the newspaper. It's fucking. Oh my god.
Paulie's there too, and it's just like, man, it's just old Rock. That's it.
That's it. You know,
Old Rock in his restaurant.
Yeah. There's some. Yeah, it's a lot of emotionality in this movie and the whole series. It's really fucking good. Really good. What else did I enjoy? I enjoyed the there was some other things. I enjoyed the desert training sequences. That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I've heard some people speculate that they thought, it's less speculation, more just I think wishful thinking, that they would have had Clubber Lang, Ice-T, running that little camp from Rocky 3. I think that would have been pretty awesome.
That would have been pretty good.
They did not go in that direction, yeah, of course. But yeah, I enjoy that this one has, you know, those connections to the old movies. I mean, this one in particular brought back Bridget Nielsen for like a bit role. She's the Ivan's ex-wife and Victor's mom.
Yeah, she's not a very nice person.
From Rocky 4. No. And you know, Milo Ventimiglia showed up for probably, you know, an hour's worth of work, which is nice of him. You know, I think he was only in Rocky Balboa. But
which one was he?
He's Rocky's son.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I got you.
He's big Hollywood man. He's doing important things now. I think he's got a big role in a TV show. I think This Is Us. So
I got you.
But I know I appreciate the continuity there. I would have liked to have rewatched like the entire Rocky franchise prior to watching this, but
it's a pretty big undertaking. Yeah,
that's an undertaking. Yeah, you know, that's you know, if we kind of tried to do a bonus episode, then maybe that would have been an incentive for it. But it was just tough. I didn't have the time for it, to be quite honest. It's a lot. It's 6 Rocky movies plus Creed, and you know, it's a lot of movies. You know, and actually, most of them are actually pretty good. There's only one, I think, real stinker in the bunch, which is actually kind of impressive. But
I don't think that I've seen all the Rockies, because they were talking about Paulie having a robot. You know about that?
Yes, I think that is the beginning of Rocky 4.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It's really it's weird. It's very weird. I think I watched most of that on TV like maybe a year or two ago, and I had that you know, like the robot pops up. I'm like, oh man, like
what's going on here?
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know if this is just like a thing where that was like the thing to do when they made that. It was the 80s, I think, when Rocky 4 came out. So I was like, this just feels like a weird like 80s sensibility thing as opposed to anything like
anything else.
Anything else, yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's good stuff. I just have one kind of last thought. It seemed like they kind of shied away from Rocky being sick. You know, they had this cancer subplot in the first Creed, which I think was kind of why I think Rocky's arc was so emotional, had that impact.
Yeah.
They did address it in the sense that, like, you know, he was sick and helped him get better, but I was just kind of surprised that they kind of didn't really tackle that more than they did. But I guess, you know, it's one of those things that had a lot on its plate. It just kind of tended to, you know, chose to kind of focus elsewhere. I just thought that, especially, you know, watching the first one immediately before it, I was just kind of like, oh, it seemed like that. Because, like, Rocky, I know you slept through the first one, but he's pretty fucked looking, you know, with the chemo's effects on him, you know, like the hair loss and stuff, like it's very visible, you know, he's very visibly different.
Yeah.
And impacted by it by the end of the first Creed. And here he's just kind of, you know, he's just kind of looking like, you know, however old. How old is Sylvester Stallone? Is he in his 60s?
I think he's in his 70s,
He's in his 70s?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
72. I just checked it. He looks pretty good for 72. He's had a little bit of work done, but
still looks pretty fucking good.
Still looks pretty good. Like I said, I wouldn't fight him. He'd kick my ass in a heartbeat. But yeah, like I said, I just kind of wish they kept that thread. You know, they don't need to make him sick again or anything like that. But it just seems like there was not a lot of continuity there. But
I kind of thought that they were gonna bring that back into. I thought they were gonna do something with it there in the beginning when he's talking about, not really the beginning, but I guess it's kind of the beginning when he's talking about Mary and Bianca. And Rocky kind of like slurs his speech and kind of talks incoherently. You know what I'm talking about? Before he goes back into the hotel room.
Not particularly, but I think you've seen this more recent than I am. I saw this before Thanksgiving, so it's been. At
one point, he goes to go back into the hotel room. He turns around and asks Rocky if he's okay. You know, because he kind of just, yeah, I don't know. He was not talking properly.
Okay.
But then they never brought it back. So I don't.
Okay. I think I kind of know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the specific details enough to agree or disagree. So
yeah. So yeah. No, it's a pretty great movie.
Pretty great movie. Damn fine film. I think we did pretty well this week.
It's nice to
two pretty good movies. I mean, obviously very different movies and different audiences. I think that they're going for, but whichever one you're in the mood for, I think you'll be very pleased with your experiences if you choose to watch either of these movies, or just go watch them both.
Good weekend at the movie theater. That's what I did. That was pretty nice.
Yeah. It's good. Good Thanksgiving opening. All right, we're going to move into our surprise third movie for the episode, Robin Hood. I'm just fucking with you.
I definitely did not watch that.
Well, it's like, yeah, it's a good weekend. I was like, well, was it though? I think, let me do a little quick Rotten Tomatoes look at old Robin Hood. What are we sitting at? Oh,
30%.
16%.
17%.
It said 16 on the homepage, but I just looked and it's 17% with an average rating of 3.8.
I
think I'll stay at home, but good for you, I guess. People that are making this movie. Or is it? I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Thanksgiving break, saw a couple movies, obviously, for the purposes of this podcast. You been up to anything else?
Yeah. I talked about Buster Scruggs last weekend, didn't I?
You did.
Did I talk about True Grit?
You did not. You said that you were gonna go into this Western kick, but I think Buster Scruggs was the inspiration. So obviously, you've kind of followed up on that.
Yeah, a little bit. I did watch True Grit. That is truly a fantastic movie.
Which is also the Coen Brothers film.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to watch it. I haven't watched Tombstone yet, but I do want to revisit Tombstone. And Bone Tomahawk. I really enjoyed Bone Tomahawk. But I haven't watched any of those yet, so I just kind of playing it slow. I did watch True Grit. I watched I found this Facebook page called Fandor, I think is what it's called, and it talks about it's a film Facebook page, and it talks about thematic elements and stuff in film and stuff. It's pretty great. And they had the guy that did Sicario, what is it? Denny, how do you pronounce his last name?
Denis Villeneuve.
Yes. And they had a segment on him and how as an auteur and how I don't know, just the way he frames the shots and stuff, and how the things are similar and how you can pick up on that. And it kind of inspired me because I've seen Sicario, I've seen Blade Runner 2049, I've seen Arrival, and I think out of everything I've seen, I thought he makes really good fucking movies. So I had not seen Prisoners yet. So I talked to you and said, hey, what do you think about that movie? You said it was really good. So last night I rented it on the Amazons and I watched that movie, and holy shit, is it a good movie. It's a really good movie. So I recommend you watch Prisoners if you haven't seen it yet. I recommend you watch True Grit if you haven't seen it yet. Aside from that, I think I've been playing I've unlocked all my mechs on Into the Breach, which is that live, die, repeat kind of game. Mm-hmm. And I've played a little bit of Red Dead Redemption 2. But not a whole lot. I'm still struggling to find it's paced very slowly, which isn't, not to its detriment, but I can't immediately just grind it out. Finding it hard to really get into. I haven't been able to sink my teeth into it, or it hasn't sank its teeth into me, I should say. I also downloaded Artifact, which is it's like a Dota 2 card game, or Dota card game, I should say. On the Steam, and I've been playing that, okay. And that's pretty cool if you're into online card games and stuff. Trying to think, is there anything else? Oh yeah, I've been watching a lot of one particular director's movies. I don't know if we can talk about it yet. Have we talked about it yet?
I mean, you can say what you've watched, but don't. You can probably save your analysis of those movies, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. No, I watched a film called Kronos. I watched a film called The Devil's Backbone, and I've watched a film called Pan's Labyrinth, all directed by Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. And all three of those movies are really fucking good too. I've been watching a lot of really good movies. I feel very blessed. Thanksgiving
Hashtag blessed on this Thanksgiving
yes,
week.
That's it. Thankful for all movies not being called Birds of Prey and blah 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 blah.
Fabulous
blah, blah,
emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Yeah, get it down, because that's gonna fit on our episode art when we do that fucking. Oh god.
Well, hopefully I can storehouse a lot of really good fucking movies, and that way I can be well prepped for a real shit one. But yeah, so I've the past couple week, I guess 2 weeks, or I don't know,
a week.
Yeah, have been filled with really good films. So I'm pretty satisfied. What have you been up to, man? I know you did a lot of things.
Oh, I did some shopping. I got me some toys. Got me some big boy toys.
There you go. What'd you get? Tell us about it.
Well, as you might be aware, as our listeners might be aware, with Thanksgiving comes Black Friday afterward. So I made good use of my money. I made good use of the Black Friday sales, and I invested in some serious hardware upgrades for really all my setup. So, first and foremost, I am now on the 4K HDR TV platform, and it is a fucking game changer. I can say that. I didn't go totally balls to the wall and get like an OLED, spend a couple $1,000s like I wish I could. I fortunately don't have that much capital available to me. But I did find kind of a good value TV. It's a TCL 55-inch 6 series, and it gets very good marks for the amount of money that it costs. And I've been very happy with my purchase so far. And I'm coming from a place where my TV, prior to this, same size, was a 55-inch, but it was an LCD, just a regular LCD, and it was probably a good 4 years old, I would say at least. And so the leap in technology, in terms of jumping from just a regular LCD to the LED backlighting, it's night and day. 4K HDR, and I was telling you this yesterday. I was a little worried. I was just like, is it going to be that big a leap from just regular old LCD 1080p to LED 4K and HDR? And I was like, obviously it's people, rant and rave about it being great and all, but I'm just like, I don't know, is it going to be worth it? And my fears were dissuaded very quickly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is, as I said, an absolute game changer. It is insane. I mean, I popped in the first Pacific Rim and watched 5 minutes, and I got goosebumps, man. It was insane. Visually, I've never had something like that in my room, in my living space, and I was just like, holy fuck. Like, I didn't break the bank for this. Like, I can't even imagine what that would have looked like with how satisfied I am with how things are in their current state. So, I'm very, very pleased with that purchase. It was high time for me to get in on the 4K game. I've been buying some 4K Blu-rays, kind of future-proofing myself, and now I finally have a way to play those with the Xbox has a 4K player integrated into it. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm thrilled kind of with that. That was the big thing for my bedroom. I moved my old TV down into the living room. Has a TV that fills the space a lot better down there. Got a sound bar down there too. So, bedroom's the primo setup, but the living room's got a pretty solid setup now too. So, I got the works going on, and it's a bad time for me to have all this fanciful toys at my disposal with those pesky final exams coming up and all. But
Christmas break's right around the corner, though.
Yeah, so I probably won't be up here enjoying it for all of that. But this is gonna. I'm set for the next few years. I think with my current setup, I'm very happy with it. Gaming in 4K is going to be awesome. Experiencing those 4K Blu-rays, it's, I spent a whole day basically just getting everything set up, and I felt very satisfied by the end of that day, and I'm still equally satisfied. So I'm very, very thrilled with kind of how I made out this year with Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I've been telling you for a very long time, at the very, very least, get the HDR, because the difference in color is ridiculous. It's so good. I still get hyped as hell when I put on stuff in my bedroom. I still get excited about it. And I've had my TV for what now, a year? I think I've had my TV now for a year.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah. Our listeners should all get HDR televisions.
You can afford it, but it's possible to get good TVs with good tech without I spent less than $1,000, considerably less than $1,000, and I'm very happy with my TV. So it's possible to be satisfied with the results and, not spend crazy amounts of money. If you have the money, then by all means, go big or go home, I suppose. But
that's it. I didn't buy anything on Black Friday. I'm fucking broke.
Well,
so
yeah, well, see that's the problem sometimes. But I really haven't. Outside of honestly what we've talked about already, obviously the two movies that we talked about, and then I spent some time watching the predecessors for the movies we talked about for this episode. I haven't had actually a ton of time to watch anything besides that, and besides what we'll be talking about for our upcoming bonus episode. So I think the only real other thing I wanted to shout out was a podcast actually. By the name of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. It just launched, I think maybe a week ago properly. It's Conan O'Brien and his hair on a podcast. The conceit of it is, he's had these interview segments on his late night TV show for the longest time, but he's just like never really forged a real friendship. It's all very structured, and so it's more of a looser conversation with celebrity guests coming in, and it's
nice.
got it's actually it's got. I think I really like Conan.
So do I.
I think he's a great entertainer. I think anyone that watches like his remotes that he does, like I think that's where he shines. It's like Conan and his element, and I think this is more of Conan being able to be in his element. I think the TV show kind of the late night format kind of boxed him in. You just kind of have these very structured, rigid interviews with celebrities, and this is much more of a free-form conversation, but it's still Conan being Conan. He's a very funny comedian, and so it's good to see that in a podcast form. And so as someone that's a fan of his work already, it's kind of like, oh, Conan plus podcast equals, yeah, I'm in. First episode, he had Will Ferrell on as his guest, and they were great together. And I think there's another one that just went up with Kristen Bell. And I haven't listened to that one yit, but
did you ever see he did a segment there where he went to Italy with I think the producer of his show.
Is it Schlansky? Jordan Schlansky?
Yes. That guy's so fucking funny.
Those two get together are fucking hilarious.
I went on a kick one night where I think I watched all the different stuff that guy put out, and there's one where they go to a coffee shop and they make coffee, and he gets dressed up as a cowboy in another one, and then the whole Italy shit. It's really good. That's
Conan, when he does those types of segments, I think that's when he's at his best. Clueless Gamer is another one if you've watched any of those.
I haven't seen any of those.
Those are pretty great.
I'll have to look into those.
Yeah, Clueless Gamer is pretty great. So yeah. If you're looking for a little bit of a Conan O'Brien kick, I think the podcast is a good way to go. Otherwise, check out those remotes and the YouTubes and all that good stuff. So, like I said, that's pretty much all I have to shout out at the moment. I'm hoping that I'll be able to check some stuff out on the new setup and talk about it. We'll talk about it eventually, and we'll get to that. But I think you want to go ahead and wrap it up?
We can wrap it up.
All right, let's do it. Thank you, listeners, for listening intently, hopefully. If you enjoyed what you heard, spread the word, please. And, Yeah, well, we're already here, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of our Patreon. You talked about 3 movies made by Guillermo del Toro, and those are the 3 movies that we're going to be talking about for our upcoming bonus episode in early December. So, once more for our listeners who might have forgotten, it's Kronos, The Devil's Backbone, and Pan's Labyrinth. It's part of this Criterion collection set called the Trilogía de Guillermo del Toro. So that's kind of what we're, theming our bonus episode around. They are connected, I think, in some ways. Even they're not overt like movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, traditional sequel type thing, but there's definitely some connections there. And I am very much looking forward to recording that episode soon. And I think our listeners are in for a treat when we do get a chance to sit down and talk about some fucking masterclass works that Del Toro put out. As it stands, our latest bonus episode is still available through Patreon. If anyone hasn't had a chance to listen to that, that was our Halloween centric bonus episode where we talked about. Every time this comes up, I'm like, shit, we talked about 4 movies. What were they? It was the Suspiria, the 1977 version, Audition,
It Comes at Night,
the Wailing, and It Comes at Night. Yeah. See, I've said it like 100 times, I'm sure by now, but I still am just like, what's the order? So that's still up for anyone that wants to check it out. Patreon, easiest way to get there is to go to our website, which is www.watchreviewrepeat.com. Premium tab and Become a Patron button on that page will get you in the right place. $2 a month gets you access to our bonus episodes and early access to all of our regular episodes. So we encourage you to do that, especially said early December. Keep an eye out on our socials at WRRPod on Twitter. Watch Review Repeat on Facebook. We'll have some information when that bonus episode's available. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please send those our way. Our Gmail account is watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith, created by Kevin MacLeod, and it is licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. So I was talking about I'm going to watch some things over the next week and we'll talk about it the next time we record. That might actually be a little bit longer than a week. So as I mentioned, I've got final exams coming up, and coincidentally, there just kind of happens to be not really a whole lot coming out theatrically, really over the next couple of weeks. So it's kind of fortuitous. But as a result, we're gonna take a brief hiatus from recording regular episodes. Probably until mid to late December. I would say that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will probably be our next proper regular episode that we'll put out, and that'll kind of be in that same timeline. So unfortunately, that means it'll be a little bit more irregular releases, but the good news is we do have our Halloween bonus episode that will go up soon as a regular episode, and that will kind of fill in the gaps. So it really will only be about a couple weeks between episodes, but it'll probably be a good 3 to 4 weeks between when we're recording this and when we'll get a chance to sit down and record. So we'll have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Hope you guys understand. I gotta do what's right for me. I enjoy recording these. I would rather spend hours upon hours talking about movies and TV shows, but I don't get paid for that. Let's put it that way. And
well, you do.
It's not going to make me the big bucks. Hopefully, in a few years' time, like school will. I don't know about the big bucks, but it'll get me in a position more so than this will. But
well, if the if our listeners spread the word,
we can amass so much money from our Patreon that neither of us has to work anymore.
Precisely. So, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's at
the end of the day, that is our goal. That is our goal. We need to subsidize our income and get on this podcast train. Let it make some money, please.
Well, we're only 60 plus episodes in, but yeah, I guess anything's possible. We just need we need to find we need to do the Wreck-It Ralph thing. We need to get the trending. We need to do
the
something.
hearts. I need hearts.
Something
Damn it.
splashy.
Give
We
us
need all the
hearts.
hearts. Yeah, we need something to really catch the world at large, inspire them to listen to us. But we're going too long here, so let's go ahead and conclude, and we will catch you next time we record.
Laters on the Minjay.
Laters on the Minjay.